Hello everyone. In the 14th video of this dynamic programming problem solving series, I will go over my solution to the problem named Yet Another Task, which is taken from Codeforce's Educational Round 88 and is rated 2000. This is an interesting problem on Cadine's algorithm and how we can reduce a problem which has low constraints on AI to a problem which is brute force plus Cadine's algorithm. So let's look at the problem statement. In this problem, we are given two people, Alice and Bob, who are playing a card game. So the rule of the card game is that there are n cards in front of them in which the ith card has value AI. Now Alice should choose a subsegment of these cards which is consecutive, and Bob will remove a single card J from the segment. So he will choose some J between L and R and he will remove that card. And the score of the game will be equal to the sum of the remaining elements in that subsegment except for AJ. So Alice wants to choose a segment in which the score is maximum possible. So in the first test case, we are given 5 integers, 5 minus 2, 10 minus 1 and 4. And in this case, it's optimal for Alice to choose the whole subarray, the whole array, which is basically the subsegment from 1 to 5. And Bob will choose the largest element equal to 10. This means that the sum of the remaining numbers will be 5 minus 2 minus 1 and plus 4. And that will be 6. And you can verify that 6 is the correct output. So you can similarly check that the answers for the second and the third sample test cases will be 10 and 0. Now let's move on to the full solution. The first observation that we can make in the full solution is that Bob will always choose the maximum number in the basically subarray chosen by Alice. And this is because Bob wants to minimize the sum of the elements in the segment and Alice wants to maximize the score. So Bob will always choose the maximum number so that he can minimize the sum of the remaining numbers in the subarray. Now we just need to find a subarray in which the sum of elements minus the max element is the maximum possible. So we need to maximize this quantity. We need to maximize the sum of the elements minus the max element. Now another thing to realize is that the numbers in the array are very small. Their absolute value is at most 30. So we should try to use this in our DP state or in maybe doing a brute force over these numbers. So let's realize that since we want to maximize this quantity, we just need to find the maximum element. So let's say we fix a maximum element. So let's say that this is equal to k. Hence, we need to find the maximum subarray sum minus k. Hence, we need to find the maximum value of the maximum subarray sum minus k. And the valid subarrays are only those subarrays which have a max element equal to k. And so we need to basically find all the subarrays which have a max element equal to k, and we need to subtract k from that, and that will be the maximum subarray sum minus k. Now one thing to realize is that since we are always subtracting out the value of k, so we can consider all subarrays which have a max element less than or equal to k. So what I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be the case that the max element is equal to k. That's how we initially defined it, that the max element in the subarray was equal to k. But actually, even if the max element is less than or equal to k, we'll still get an optimal answer. So basically, what I'm saying is that if we choose a subarray which has max element equal to some other value, let's say x, which is less than k, this means that the sum of the subarray minus x will be less than the sum of the subarray. No, it will be greater than the sum of the subarray. The sum of the subarray minus k. And this basically means that hence we are not overcounting or counting above the actual answer, and basically the sum of the subarray minus k is a lower bound on the actual value. The actual value is greater than this, so basically we can also consider all subarrays with max element less than or equal to k without affecting the final answer. So to conclude, we can consider all subarrays with max element less than or equal to k without adversely affecting the final answer or counting the final answer larger, or getting a larger value than the actual answer. So now that we have built the logic that we loop over all the maximum elements which are possible. So the max element in the subarray can be only from minus 30 to plus 30. So basically we loop over all elements from minus 30 to plus 30, and we'll try to find a subarray with maximum sum and in which every element is less than or equal to k. So now what we need to do is, the new problem is, find the max sum of a subarray in which every number is less than or equal to k. This is the standard Cadence. We can use the standard Cadence algorithm. We can modify a bit to find the max sum of the subarray in which every number is less than or equal to k. So the way we would do that is, so let's first define our DP state to be DP of I is the max sum of a subarray ending at I in which every number is less than or equal to k. Notice that DP of I is defined only for those indices I such that AI is less than or equal to k. This basically means that DP of I is not valid. So basically DP of I is invalid for cases where AI is greater than k. Basically that subarray can't contain a value greater than k. Now the recurrence would be DP of I is maximum of AI and DP of I minus 1 plus AI. And we also need to make sure that DP of I minus 1 is valid. So when DP of I minus 1 is valid, and an easy way to fix the case where DP of I minus 1 is invalid is to set DP of I to infinity, when to negative infinity when DP of I is invalid. And in this way we can get the normal recurrence of Cadence algorithm. Or you can also look at it in the way that we are either choosing the last element only in a subarray, or we are choosing the last element along with another subarray ending at index I minus 1. So that's the way in which we have derived the recurrence, and that's all that's there in our DP state in our DP recurrence. And the base case would be, so the base case is DP of 1 is E of 1 only when E of 1 is less than or equal to k. Otherwise DP of 1 is negative infinity. And now let's just look at the code. So in the code, first I'll take in the value of n, and the array of vector of elements ai. Then I'll loop over all the max values. So for all the max values from minus 30 to plus 30, I'll compute dp of I. So dp of I is the max subarray sum which ends at I and which has a maximum element equal to mx or lesser. So if ai is greater than mx, then dp of I will be negative infinity, and we continue. And infinity is defined to be 1e8 in this case because we are working with integers. You can use longs also and set an different infinity value. So dp of I will be maximum of ai and dp of I minus 1 plus ai. So let's initialize a global maximum int answer to be negative infinity, and let's initialize the current max to be again negative infinity. So every time we'll update current max to be the maximum of the previous current max and dp of I, and now our answer will be the maximum of the answer previously found, and the maximum subarray sum in which we don't include the max element. So I'll just define the variable name differently. So this is max subarray sum, and the max subarray sum will be recomputed to be the maximum of what it already was and the current dp of I, and the answer will be recomputed to the maximum of itself and the max subarray sum, which does not include the value of mx, which is the mx. So basically mx is the max element in the in a subarray. So now that we have computed the value of answer, we'll just write the answer to the output. So I'm just running it on the sample test case, and I noticed that I didn't define dp. So dp will change every time we run the loop, so I'll define it inside the loop. And as you can see on the test case for three numbers with minus 10, 6 and minus 15, it gave the correct value of 0. Let's run it on one more test case, or the first sample test case, and it gives the correct output of 6. And let's run it on the second sample test case, and we get the correct output of 10. So let's just submit this code to see that it gets accepted. So as you could see, my code got accepted. I hope you like this problem and my solution to this problem. This problem was a simple problem which illustrated the use of Cadane's algorithm. In one of the next two videos of this dynamic programming problem solving series, I will complete the great DP problem which I had planned earlier, and also those two videos will be the last two videos of this DP problem solving series. So if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and do consider subscribing to my channel for more such content. Thank you.